Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk to you about two of the big changes that are coming to Splinterlands. We know we're getting Rift Watcher epic summoners, and one of them is going to have an enrage, and that's going to be the Fire Summoner. And she is going to be really powerful because I think some of the synergies that exist are going to really turn over what we understand the meta is. Skargore with her enrage is going to transform damage output, speed output. That's going to synergize extremely well with things like retaliate, with physical damage, melee damage specifically, but retaliate, high speed monsters, because the enrage is going to kick up that speed even more. If your monster already has phase, you might go from like a 6 speed to a 9 speed because of a damage, 1 damage being on your monster. Thinking Almo Cambio and how fast and evasive that can be when you can control your own enrage, bringing your own enrage. And then there's certain partnerships that you might not initially think about, and I want to cover one here with the rest of the video that just to me is such an amazing combination for this card. And even though this is a modern card, this is so powerful of a summoner that it's actually going to have impacts on the wild format, which is all cards. And in some ways is probably the pool of cards and the pool of the participation where the greatest amount of money is fighting. And yet this new card is going to step in and really change things up. And I want to show you what I have to see here. So we'll go back to my main account. And I fought these last two battles here, and they're both victories, but look what I'm up against. So this is me over here. I'm fighting Yodin. And you think, look at these summoners, and if I just all I told you is these summoners, you wouldn't think I'm going to win this, but I do win this, and it's in a huge part because of this guy right here, the exploding dwarf. This thing is such a beast, and it's not even really that much money. But look at the kit on this thing: blast, piercing, retaliate, trample, huge amount of physical damage, crazy amount of speed. The only vulnerability is the number of hit points. But in certain settings, that's not even a problem, like Equalizer rule set, you know, where I'm going to get 14 hit points because Grum is played and he's got 14 hit points. And there are other moments too where it's less of a problem, such as where your opponent decides he wants to do snipe attacks or he wants to do super slow monsters. And so we'll see what happens here. But first, I want to pop over here and go to the Exploding Dwarf, 33 cents per BCX. Level 8 is a huge 172 BCX, gives you 5 damage output. At the common level, that's going to be gold, right? Yeah, gold, I think. Common. Yeah, I believe that's gold level, common. And you're talking 57 bucks. You probably really want to get it up to here to 305. Because then you're going to unlock that trample. But that's, I guess, only assuming you really are fighting a diamond. If you're fighting in gold, getting it in here where you're getting 5 damage and you're getting to retaliate, piercing, and blast, that combo alone is so powerful in the right setting that this niche card for 57 bucks could really up your game. Especially if you have if fire is one of your mains and if you're playing in the wild. But also if you're not playing in the wild, I think you should be aiming at growing there. Because even your modern cards you have now are always going to eventually move into wild. And so remember that, and don't exclude or don't jump to the conclusion that you never want to own these wild cards, because I think all of us should. If we're here longer, you're going to find that you have a niche in that window also, because your Chaos Legion will one day be wild. Your Rift Watchers will one day be wild cards. So Exploding Dwarf Partner is such a powerful card. It's not even that much money. I actually think it's such an exceptional card. And do you get to play it every single match? No. But when you do, it usually goes well for you. Let's watch the match. And then let's watch the match and just watch what happens. The speed is the thing. First of all, he's got snipers right off the bat. Speed is king, right? Like, we've got the Spark Pixies with the 8 speed, stunned the Grum. So not that the Grum was going to have any chance of hitting me anyways, right? Like, he did, but barely. 1 speed versus 7 speed. Huge likelihood he wouldn't have touched me. But we stun him right out of the gate with the fast over here. And then my blast damage killed the secondary monster because the Exploding Dwarf is that much of a beast. And the pounding we've already put on this Grom is huge. And then he's gone ahead and he's chosen snipe damage. So if that had landed, if the Phyrexian General had landed a shot, that would have helped him, of course, but it wouldn't have changed anything because he's not focusing on my damage. This thing is so carry in this moment, and he's really not even paying attention. He's not even attending to it. So we're going to go ahead and steamroll, and that's that. I really put it there. Do you notice how I had 3 tanks? I put this Exploding Dwarf in the first position thinking it was going to do some serious damage and then die. And then I had a 1-2 punch set up to carry forward that I would have been very happy to have as my main and second tanks. But I didn't even need to go there because this card is such a beast. And so obviously it's over. And I've got one more match. I want you to think about how that match or this match here would work if we were rocking the Enrage monster. Especially this match. This is an Equalizer rule set. And I don't know how often each rule set drops, but it seems to me Equalizer is one that comes regularly. Don't you agree? I mean, I feel like it's at least 1 in 10 battles. And whenever that happens, my immediate thought is fire. Look at this. This is crazy. 14 hit points, 6 damage, 6 speed, piercing, trample, blast, retaliate. And, you know, this is one of the best cards one of the best tanks in the game. That taunt is wild. The retaliate is huge. The demoralize is, you know, always a problem and such a beast. But his strength, the hit points, is my benefit because of the Equalizer rule set. And despite all of his support, and he's got great support, he's got the Tide Biter over here with the reflection shield. He's got the repair and the heal. He's got another armor stack, and he's even got, this isn't irrelevant, but he brought tons of support for a beast of a tank. But watch what happens. And this is what you could do with if you add your Exploding Dwarf for probably $50 at the diamond level, $50 to $75. And these retaliates just going off. We're dropping bombs, and we just ate that Kraken, just gobbled it up. And then the trample damage just dropping, you know, that's every time I trample at this, it's doing 8 damage. It's 8 here and 4 there. It's 12 damage for every punch. Plus retaliates are another. You can get multiple attacks in any given round. I could do 50 damage in a round with this thing, right? With one round, because I punch once and I hit for 12. I retaliate your punch, you retaliate my punch, and I retaliate again. That right there would be 36 damage. And so this thing's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And picture what would happen if this summoner wasn't, if this was Skargore. Right now, with this slight damage done, I would be at 12 melee and I think 11 or 12 speed. I think, is it actually, yeah, 12 melee and probably 11 speed. No one's hitting me. No one. Absolutely broken. And this is what happens when a new summoner comes to the game. You don't really understand the implications and the reach of what it could do until you start to think outside of the box, like in terms of you probably, most of you are playing in the modern format, and so you wouldn't even imagine what this could do with the Exploding Dwarf. You wouldn't even think, well, yeah, maybe I want Skargore, but you wouldn't even be thinking about this card over here, Exploding Dwarf. But you should be, because first of all, it's an amazing card. Second of all, it's relatively inexpensive. Third of all, you should be managing to add to what would eventually be a wild deck key cards along your path through Splinterlands, because you will one day be a wild player, whether you know that now or not. And this is one of those ones that will partner so insanely well. Let's finish the match. It's so crazy at this level. Like this alone. And if I was to enrage this thing, oh my goodness. 12 damage to the main target, 6 damage to the secondary target. Retaliates would do the same thing. And interestingly, if he had an opportunity monster that struck me, right? Because I hit your main tank, you retaliate, I retaliate on you. That's 2 damage, 2 hits to you. Your secondary or third, you got an opportunity monster that comes at my dwarf. I retaliate on that, dropping a 12 damage to the person who attacked me with piercing, by the way, probably killing you, and also hitting both the tertiary monsters beside that opportunity monster. And then there's trample. If I killed you with that blow, it's a trample. This thing is so friggin' broken in conjunction with Skargore. Now, it's super niche. Most people don't have that card. But if you like fire, and if you recognize what I said to be true, that you're going to eventually be a wild player, this is a card you need to take seriously. It's so strong. It's so powerful. It's not even that much money. And heck, rent it for, you can rent it for relatively, I would think, even more reasonable. Exploding a max level, and I know not everybody's playing max level, but look at that. It's only 15 DC to rent this thing for a max level. This thing is practically free from rental perspective and even from purchase perspective. It's so key. Yes, it is niche, but when those opportunities arise, it's really like, it's an ace closing pitcher. That's what this is. Like MLB analogy. This is like you're one of the best closing pitchers in the game. You in certain contexts, you're going to play him for a short period of time, and he's going to just absolutely win it or finish out the game positively for you. Does he play the whole game, or does he play many games? Probably not. But when he gets in, he makes a huge difference. And so I think Exploding Dwarf is such an amazing card. And I think he's one example of how we can really begin to imagine what the new cards, the modern new summoners in particular, but also the new monsters also, are going to have this trickle down effect on the game that we understand at not just the modern level, but definitely the wild level. And so the meta is always evolving, and that's one of the reasons why this game is so amazing and complicated and fun. But it's in that complexity, if you have the discernment to recognize the great synergies before others, you have the opportunity to make huge bank, because that's recognizing certain connections like this before others do will allow you to buy cards before prices pump. And I'm not saying Exploding Dwarfs is going to pump. I'm just saying this sort of synergy exists. I think this is beneficial, and there might even be better examples. If you're paying attention, you might be the one to catch them and then benefit. So thanks guys for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. If you have any comments on cards that you think synergize so crazy well and maybe appear to be OP, I want to know about it. Drop those comments below. Have an amazing day. God bless.